I'm going to talk about two different projects. We have the Possum Kingdom Habitat Enhancement Project, and we do have the Lake Wichita Revitalization Project. Our four partners for the Possum Kingdom have been Hell's Gate and the Mineral Wells Bass Clubs. The Lake Wichita Revitalization is the Lakeside City. I'm going to start off with the Possum Kingdom. A little background. Possum Kingdom was constructed in 1941. It's a little over 15,000 acres. It's on the Brazos River. Controlling authority is the Brazos River Authority. They've worked with us well on this project. The lake itself is deep, clear water. Traditionally had a good largemouth bass and striped bass fishery. Had lots of vegetation at one time. Lately, since in 2001, it's been had occasional golden algae fish kills. The kills have occurred in 2001, 03, 07, and 10. This project kind of came about. Our fish kills and spills team had some money available to do a project in this area. They had $12,000, and then we partnered with Hell's Gate and then later with Mineral Wells to come up with a 1,385-acre arm of PK, which we would work on instead of the whole lake. It's 22.6 miles of shoreline, has 10 feeder creeks coming into it. And one of the reasons we wanted to work in here is it seems like it's less affected by golden algae, and it's kind of a refuge for the fish in the past. After discussing it, we decided to go with 4 projects: planting aquatic vegetation, Georgia DNR artificial structures, mossback structures, and we would cut and build some brush piles. For the planting aquatic vegetation, we planted 35 colonies: American pondweed, Illinois pondweed, and water stargrass. They were doing well, filling the cages, while the American pondweed was doing well. The other two, they just didn't really take. We built 65 Georgia structures. They're made out of PVC and then flexible pipe filled in, and these were built at PK Industries, which the Hell's Gate, where they meet. Members helped us. They also have a barge, and they helped move these things around. It had been very tough for us to get them to the reservoir and in without the barge. We used mossbacks. We got 16 of them, assembled them, and deployed them. And we also built 75 brush piles. These were cedar. They were cut from a state park in the arm and placed along the shoreline. We also plan to brush out the artificial structures. Here's the arm, the white lines. That's where we brushed out. The white squares over there on the right-hand side, those are the artificial structures, and some of the other colored squares are some red, black. Those are the vegetation plantings. Fox Hollow is on the north shore of the arm. This kind of shows it. We took GPS coordinates of the area so the anglers will know where they are. They're lined out like this because there's almost like an old road bed there with telephone poles, and then it falls off, so we're kind of up on a flat. It should be pretty good for the fish, and try to show some pictures there where they're at. In the future, we want to expand out from Cedar Creek and go up into the dark areas, what's called the Peanut Patch, and down to Hogs Bend. We're going to concentrate on vegetation, 100 cages, just pondweed, and we're also going to be putting some water willow in, and we're going to deploy 100 mossback. We're not going to do any more of the Georgia structures here. This was supposed to have been done in 2014, but our lake elevation has been dropping quite fast, and while the 2013 vegetation was doing very good at that time, it's now high and dry. So that's one of the problems we face working with vegetation. The funding, as I mentioned, Texas Parks and Wildlife Kills and Spills, $12,000 grant. We've gotten $8,000 from the Reservoir Fisheries Habitat Partnership, Hell's Gate and Mineral Wells, and the total project for this is going to be $38,000. I'm now going to get into a little more complicated project. It's the Lake Wichita Revitalization. Background, Lake Wichita was constructed in 1901 as a water supply. It was a social and recreational destiny for the city for years. The picture there shows a pavilion. That's where everybody hung out. It is the third oldest lake in Texas. It used to be called the Gem of North Texas. Originally it was 2,200 acres. In 1995, the dam and spillway were rebuilt, and we lost 4.5 feet in elevation, and we lost 1,000 surface acres of the reservoir. The results of that renovation was we lost all our habitat, shoreline and aquatic. The average depth of the lake was about 4 foot. There was one small area that had a maximum depth of about 9 feet. Before 1995, it had a very good largemouth bass, crappie, and palmetto bass fishery. We also had water quality problems that resulted in golden algae-caused fish kills. Currently, the drought of record has nearly dried up the lake. Picture shows a fishing pier dock that the city had just put in about 2 years ago. Of course, now it's high and dry. After 1995, the boat ramps that were present were all high and dry, and so they had to build a new one. The new boat ramp is basically only usable when the lake is completely full. In 2012, the reservoir suffered 3 fish kill events. Pretty much not anything left in there now. Lake Wichita does sit right in the city of Wichita. There's 100,000 people there, and now it's not used much. This shows, I don't know if you can see the black line. That outlines the original 2,200 acre lake. And then where you can see the water, that's where the 1,000 acre lake is after 1995. And then clear up there in the blue, you see what it was in September 2014. Because of this, a lot of people like Lakeside City, they either got to change their name, they couldn't call themselves Lakeside anymore, or else they're going to have to come up with a plan to fix this. In the past, there's been other times that they've had problems, and committees were formed, recommendations were made, nothing happened. Usually it was the complete renovation was deemed too costly. Well, the difference was there was still water in the lake and there was still some fish available. Today, that's not the case, and so there's a big movement now to get things going and fix things. On May 7th, 2013, Lake Wichita Study Committee was established by the City Council and given 18 months to review the various issues of Lake Wichita and make recommendations to the City Council. On the committee, Tom Lang, my supervisor, and a park board member got together and decided they wanted to really get this thing done and get it going. And it's going to take people like that to get these things off the ground. So they came up with an action plan. They wanted to review the Lake Wichita history, the planning documents. They wanted to gather information on designated desired uses from the public, and then they wanted to come up with an improvement management plan for the City Council. For gathering the information on desired uses, they just did an online poll, not probably scientific, but it was overwhelming that those that did answer wanted something done with this lake and improved. Most everybody wants it dredged. The number one thing they said they want to use the lake for was 70% said fishing. So they came up with their plan and presented it to the City Council. While they were doing that, they also decided they wanted to get involved with the Corps of Engineers. So they met with them at the lake, and then they also went up to Tulsa and met with them up there. So they had a good idea of what they're going to need to do for permitting. And they came up with it was going to take 3 to 4 months to get the permits once they got everything going. Their plan was then to implement improvements that will ensure the benefits to the community will be long-lasting. Phase 1 was they wanted to set a solid foundation by restoring the lake. Phase 2, develop the areas around the lake. Phase 1, excavation is the number one needed thing. It's got over 110 years of siltation. The upper end had about 8 foot of siltation in it. The lower end's got about 3 foot of siltation in it. They need to get that done. It's going to be pretty costly. Because the lake is dried, it'll be cheaper to do it now than when it gets wet. Other projects in phase one is to extend the trail system. There's a city park over on the right, and on the left we have the bike path and walking path goes there, then it takes up again. There's been plans to connect the two bike paths so you can go in a circle. Originally it was going to go, and there's homeowners and businesses along this section. It was going to go along there. They really don't want a bike path right in their backyard. And so it was determined that maybe we can take the bike path and trail out into the lake and make it pretty scenic. It'd be unique, and it'd also save people from having the trail go right in their backyard. Off this trail, we could also put picnic areas maybe, or some fishing piers. So that's one of the things they want to do. They want to put jetties into the lake. They want a couple of beach areas in the lake because this has historically been a good recreational lake. Boat ramps. We need more boat ramps. And then they also want to have the walkway continue on over the spillway. So they want a spillway bridge. Those are the most important things they want to do on the project. Phase 2 projects would include commercial development, maybe some restaurants on the lake. They want to build a pavilion like they used to have. There's a lot of old timers that remember what this lake used to be. That's what they want it to be again. They want more fishing piers on the dam. And there's talk of a water sports complex. The project strategies are working with fisheries habitat management. We want to have get up into the upper end, do some watershed work. We want to plant some aquatic vegetation, of course deepen it. Conturrets, that'd be better for fishing. Fundraising. This is not going to be tax money. It's going to have to come from the public, being raised from foundations. Water supply. We're in a drought up there. We need the water. Maybe this could be used for the city. Also, the lake itself needs a new water supply. In 1995, they cut the irrigation ditch from diversion, which is highly, a lot of chlorides and has golden algae. And that's caused problems for this lake. They want to seal that up and get back to using Holiday Creek like it used to be. Outreach and marketing and political. They just want to develop and nurture partnerships to get started. Anticipated cost, it's going to cost about $50 million estimated to accomplish this. Recent developments is they have gone back to the city council, and with their plan was accepted, and the committee has now been renamed the Wichita Revitalization Committee, which is more of an action, and now they are in the process of trying to raise $316,000 to complete the background work for permit applications. Recent developments, they've partnered with the Wichita Falls Area Community Foundation to host the fund. They will only be charged 1% for administration cost for this fund. We've had a television station, KFDX, which wants to really promote the project, try to raise money. They have radios, and then the Time Record News, the newspaper, also wants to really get involved and try to help raise this money. Our time frame is we want to raise it as soon as possible, get the permit application. Once we get the permit application, it's believed that it'll be easier to raise the $50 million. I won't say it's going to be easy, but it'll be easier. And then about 1.5 to 3.5 years to complete phase 1. Thanks.